Next is Mr. Crenshaw for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to unequivocally condemn in the strongest possible terms the actions of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Just last week, referring to her obstruction of bipartisan targeted relief bills that we could have voted on this floor, she said, quote, "Don't characterize what we did before as a mistake. This was not a mistake, it was a decision," end quote.
Not to accept half of a loaf months ago when you said, I'm not going to accept half a loaf.
Look, I'm going to tell you something.
now
Don't characterize what we did before as a mistake, as a preface to your question, if you want an answer. That was not a mistake. It was a decision.
End quote. When asked what had changed, why she is finally coming to the table on COVID relief, her response was simple. A new president.
A new president.
New president. We've known for months that Speaker Pelosi was holding the American people hostage for political gain. I've said it. My colleagues have said it.
4 weeks from now, we're going to have a new president of the United States, and we have to make sure that happens. What we do have to do is focus our attention on winning the election.
Colleagues have said it. While Americans suffered under unscientific, foolish lockdowns, Pelosi withheld relief for political purposes.
Things go back.
Madam Speaker, but they really need the money right now, and even members of your own.
I understand that, but
even members of your own caucus, even members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna, for example. But let me just quote Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat, and he just said this. He said, "People in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal, put the ball in McConnell court." So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist.
Pelosi withheld relief for political purposes, not policy purposes, but political purposes.
Pelosi admitting she was playing politics while millions of Americans are out of work and businesses across the country are on the brink of collapse. After months of stalling negotiations, Pelosi finally ready to accept a smaller coronavirus bill, all because Joe Biden is headed for the White House.
What has shifted now when they're on board with this piece that's come out of the Senate?
Perhaps you missed what I said earlier. Joe Biden committed to ending and crushing the virus. What was then before was not more of this. This has simplicity. It's what we've had in our bills. It's for a shorter period of time, but that's okay now because we have a new president.
Political purposes. But we now have a full admission. She said the quiet part out loud. This was never about what was best for the American people, never about honest policy disagreement. It was about preventing President Trump from getting any credit. It was about politics. Speaker Pelosi made a simple calculation. She bet that if she could keep Congress from reaching a deal on COVID relief, that would hurt President Trump and Republicans and give her more power. Even when members of her own party asked her to bring common sense, standalone, bipartisan relief measures to the House floor that would easily become law, she refused.
But so many of your fellow Democrats in the House, they want a deal right now.
No, that isn't.
The problem solvers, they all want a deal right now.
Yeah.
And here's what they're complaining about, because you wrote a letter to House Democrats and you said this. Let me read a line from the letter you wrote. "The president only wants his name on a check to go out before Election Day and for the market to go up." Is that what this is all about? Not allow the president to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans right now?
He's not that important. But
What we do have to do is focus our attention on winning the election. 4 weeks from now, we're going to have a new president of the United States, and we have to make sure that happens.
She refused. She would say over and over again that nothing is better than something. And she was being honest. She honestly believed that nothing was better than something, but better for who? Not for the American people, that's for sure. She believed that nothing was better than something for her and her party. It's hard to imagine a more awful and heartless strategy. And what's worse, Speaker Pelosi does all of this while people in her home state suffer from unscientific, unconstitutional lockdowns the Democrat leaders in California are forcing upon their citizens. These lockdowns are not based in science. They never have been. Study after study shows that they yield little, if any, benefits, but they impose extreme costs on the small businesses suffering under them. You know what else? The Democrat leaders making these executive orders, they know this too, because they're violating their own guidelines. The Speaker of the House couldn't even let a pesky little lockdown get in the way of a haircut appointment, even though those same lockdowns destroy the lives of her constituents. We've all seen the heartbreaking video of Angela Marsden, the owner of Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill in Los Angeles. Everyone should have to watch that testimony as Democrats shut down her outdoor dining while a Hollywood studio sets up shop right next door.
I'm losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me. And they set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio, which is right over here.
Angela Marsden, owner of Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill, outraged and emotional, posting this video on social media after she saw production tents and tables set up in a parking lot just a few feet from the outdoor dining area she's not allowed to use.
They have not given us money and they have shut us down. We cannot survive. My staff cannot survive. Look at this. Tell me that this is dangerous, but right next to me as a slap in my face, that's safe. This is safe.
I guess I was in shock. So I walked in and then I'm going to make signs and give out last paychecks and I just started crying. And I just was like, I can't take anymore. Like I literally have been punched in the face 10 times over. I have done the dance. I've done everything that they've wanted.
Marsden has owned the bar and grill she calls the Cheers of this Sherman Oaks neighborhood for 10 years. She spent around $80,000 building an outdoor patio and making changes to meet LA's COVID health requirements. But Marsden has run out of loan money and can't afford to offer takeout, so for now, she's closing.
The day they come to get their last paycheck, you punch me in the face and say that this is dangerous, right? Right here is dangerous. But just walk over there and eat.
People involved in the television production were seen dining under the tent.
Seti and Gavin Newsom is responsible for every single person that doesn't have unemployment, that does not have a job, and all the businesses that are going under. And we need your help. We need somebody to do something about this.
Studio sets up shop right next door. She represents millions of Americans suffering who have taken note of the hypocrisy of these lockdowns, of the double standards, as big businesses can operate freely while small businesses are shamed into submission and told wrongly that they are the ones who must sacrifice to slow the spread, that the demise of the business they spent their whole lives building is the price to pay because if it just saves one life. But this is unscientific nonsense. And we all know it. Study after study shows outdoor dining is safe, that outbreaks are not occurring because of our small businesses, our gyms, our restaurants, our salons. And yet these small businesses are in the crosshairs of cowardly politicians across the country. This madness has to stop. This arbitrary application of executive orders is deeply, deeply unconstitutional. Justice Gorsuch recently stated, "There is no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive edicts that reopen liquor stores and bike shops, but shutter churches, synagogues, and mosques." Americans have had enough. It is time to stand up against the hypocrisy of these so-called leaders deliberately harming the citizens they claim to represent, and to condemn the deeply partisan actions of the Speaker of this House. I yield back.
So does she pay a price ever for any of these tactics?
She's already paid the price, Jesse, in terms of the Democrats losing House seats. But I mean, from Russia to the fake impeachment to visit me in Chinatown, she turned down, as Dagan says, $1.8 trillion. She's taking less than half of what Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, was offering her because she's dopey and prideful and counterproductive. And I know my wife Erica is going to get mad at me for saying that, but she's a lousy politician. She's a dictator within that party. But you know, people are seeing through it now.
When I look at what her compromise bill is all about, well, it once again mentions cannabis more than it mentions jobs, which I don't think those in COVID relief believe that's the priority they should do. Provides a massive tax break to the wealthy. And you know who would get the biggest tax break of all? Michael Bloomberg. I guess that's okay in the Democratic Party because he's supplied the most money for him. You know the one thing it does cut back on money? To make our streets safe and secure. $600 million they cut from their original bill for law enforcement. Is there liability protection? Are the schools going to be protected from being sued, or the small businesses? Because the Democrats never proposed that. Is this just more money into cannabis and not to jobs? I mean, what is the priority of the underlying? There are so many problems within the Democratic bills, why it's gone nowhere, and why Pelosi continues to hold on for a false hope that nobody will support. Nancy Pelosi has said numerous times that she would keep us here to get it done. That was in July. She made us wait all summer, but who did she really make wait? The small businesses that have now declared bankruptcy, or those people that are employed by them that are now out of work, or those at their unemployment that do not get the extra benefit. Or what about the airlines? Could she not see past politics for once